of the night when the stars align. There's a place you can go where the stories unwind. Slabs in the chair bringing news from the skies.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Thursday's Watchtower. All DC talk. That's what we're doing here today. Creature Commandos Season 1 has come to an end, and what a ride it was. So we're going to talk about Season 1 of Creature Commandos, and then we're going to dive into ranking and taking a look at what the best Batman suits have been in live action. So let's dive into it, everybody. Let's get into this. Happy New Year, everybody. I guess this isn't the first. We did do a Watchtower last week, didn't we? Did we do one last week? I think we did. Man, this is the second one of 2025. I hope everybody's having a good day, good week. Hope everybody got to see Creature Commandos. I tell you what, it wasn't the best episode of the season, but it was a very good and impactful episode and did excite me for what's coming up next. So who do we got here? We got Trevon's in here talking about watching Law and Order. Oh, absolutely, Slav. Some of the best episodes were in the first few seasons. Ben Stone's my guy. And Hope for Life says, love your new intro music. It's perfect for you. Thanks. Trevon says, neat intro music. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I got new intro music for the Watchtower as well as my normal show. So you'll get to hear the new intro music for that. I'm actually going to put the whole piece of music up on the YouTube channel for the Watchtower and for the main show next week. Maybe this weekend for the Watchtower and then next week for the main show, because they're both pretty long pieces of music. I'm going to kind of do a video for them and put them up. I don't know what kind of video I'm going to do. I don't know if it's just going to be a static video. I don't know yet. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do. But yes, thank you. We got Happy 3D Model. New face here. Hello, how are you? Welcome. All right. So let's talk about Creature Commandos real quickly here as more people start jumping in before we get into the main meat and potatoes of the Batman suits. Like I said, this episode of Creature Commandos, while it wasn't the best episode, it was a really, really good episode. I really enjoyed, James Gunn doing what James Gunn does and really making you care about these characters. And that's what he did throughout the entire season here, specifically with, in this episode, Nina Mazursky and showing us how she was born with the lungs on the outside of her body, her father doing some weird testing and, work to make her basically become what she becomes. And then her feeling like an outcast and running away from home. And the thing about her through this entire season is she was never a killer. She was never somebody who even seemed like she belonged part of this team. Even in the backstory, that was the one thing that caught me was like, why was she even there? What was the point of her being thrown into prison? There was nothing really like, why is she there? Like nothing ever explained, at least in a very good reason why she was there. So to, show this backstory and then have her, spoilers, to have her die was just so heartbreaking. This was the one where James Gunn said that this may have been the saddest story that he ever wrote. And it was very, very sad the way that he wrote it. And then the bride, because this was the bride's like only friend that she's ever had, to witness her die like that was pretty heartbreaking for her and tough for her to go through that type of emotions, those types of emotions, because prior to that she had the doctor who created her, but after that she's not really had anybody that she's been close to until now. The story that James Gunn wrote through and through this entire season was, wow, not like overly impactful to the point where it's like, okay, we see where the DCU is headed. But it was such a good story because you got attached to these characters. These are fun, interesting characters that make you feel like, okay, these are really cool characters. Like these are interesting characters. It's what James Gunn is good at doing, is fleshing out characters and really making you care about them. Again, he is a fantastic writer. I say this all the time. The Bride is absolutely the standout of this entire series. Weasel was phenomenal in this series, specifically episode 4 was absolutely great. And if you didn't nearly come to tears in that episode, specifically the last like 4 minutes of that episode of his, where you learn the backstory of Weasel, do you even have a heart? I mean, come on. Eric Frankenstein, his story was so interesting. And to see how that went and where that went, and we're going to see him again. Where is that going to go? It's so interesting. Again, there's so much like there. And then we get a new team. We see that there's going to be a new team of Creature Commandos, and the fact that the Bride is now the leader, which is really exciting, really cool. You see that Amanda Waller is building these teams because you have Team Peacemaker that we have. Now you're going to have Creature Commandos, a team that she created. Now, Team Peacemaker isn't really her team anymore, I guess, but it is another team that is out there. And then you have the Creature Commandos. You're going to have the Justice League at some point. It's really cool to see all these little sects, all these little teams that are coming together, that will be coming together within the DCU, and how different they all are from one another. And that is really cool as well. Again, you take a look at what James Gunn is building. It's different than what we've seen in the past. It's different than the MCU. It's different than the DCEU. And that is a good thing. That is a very, very good thing. So that's what I'm excited about. That's what I loved about Creature Commandos. I think it was a great way to kind of give us a little taste, a little morsel of what the DCU is going to be. No, this isn't the DCU proper. That starts with Superman in July. But it gave us a good bit. It gave us enough to say, okay, we see what they're doing here. We see that there's a larger scale ideas. But we just got a little taste. We got a little bit here. We got some characters. We see there's Clayface. We see there's Circe. We see there's other characters out there. We see Rick Flag has been doing some things. That's great. But now we know that we're going to get the full scope and scale of the DCU in July with Superman. And that's just exciting. I loved what they did with Creature Commandos. And I'm looking forward to Creature Commandos Season 2. And I'm just looking forward to what they do with the DCU moving forward. And yes, there's people out there who are going to sit there and poo-poo on Creature Commandos. They just don't want to have fun. That's all there is to it. They just don't want to have fun. They don't care if all they want is brooding and sad and dark and deep. That's all they want. And it's like sometimes you can have a little fun with your superhero funny comic book movies. It's okay. It's okay to have fun with comic book movies or comic book TV shows or animated shows. But they just want to poo-poo on it because, oh, this was a little over the top. It was adult humor. It's not good. Like, come on, guys. Let's have a little fun. We knew what we were getting into. And again, if it's not for you, then that's fine. Wait for July. But give it a shot because the storytelling was just that good. When you pull out the adult themed elements and you look at the story of Weasel, you look at the story of G.I. Robot, you take a look at the story of Nina Mazursky, you take a look at the story of The Bride, you look at those and you see how much passion, how much heart, how much love was put into creating the stories and how they were interwoven through the entire series, or at least season 1. You come out of it and you say, wow. Like, that is somebody who cares about these characters and who wants to build these characters to be impactful to this universe. And he did a hell of a job, James Gunn, that is. But I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. What are you guys saying over there? I've been seeing chats popping off. All right. Let's see. Hope for Life says, is there any way to download the music on iTunes? I haven't put it on iTunes. I don't even know if I can put it on iTunes. I'll try. I'll try. I don't know if I can, but I'll give it a shot. Happy 3D model. I'm excited for the new Superman movie and the DCU. So are we, man. You're at the right place for being excited. This is the right place for that, for sure. I don't know if you got a chance to watch Creature Commandos. If you have, or if you haven't, I mean, go watch it if you're able to. Fantastic show. And keep coming back here Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. We'll be talking about the DCU and all things DC. And sometimes, like today, we're going to be talking about the Batman suits of the past and which ones are the best and which ones suck. It's a little fun. This is a celebration, a talk of all things DC. JL made it, finally made it early, ready to talk DC. Awesome, man. Welcome. Hope for Life. Nina's story is the best. I can't wait. Actually sympathize with her a lot more than other characters. Yeah, honestly, I think for me, my two favorite stories within Creature Commandos was probably the Brides and Weasels. I liked GI Robots a lot, and I did like Nina's as well. Again, my whole thing with Nina's was I just didn't feel like there was a reason why she was put in prison and part of the Creature Commandos. Like, I just didn't feel like there was any reason for it. But besides that, I felt her story was really good and it really hit you and tugged you on the heartstrings. But besides that, man, it was time. Hey, Slav, hope you were great. Hope you were great too, man. Critic Chris, hey, Slav, sorry I'm late. It's okay as long as you're here. As long as you're here. Man, it was time. I rate Creature Commandos an 8 out of 10. Great world building, great characters, especially with the backstory of each, but the main story was the weak part. The main story wasn't fantastic. I wouldn't say, like, I saw some people say it was predictable. I pick up on things rather well with things, and I'm not going to say it wasn't predictable. I will say this. I will say that it wasn't that it wasn't predictable or was predictable. It felt second fiddle to everything else. And that, yeah, it was a weak spot for it. But I won't say it was bad. You know, it was interesting. It was the driving force for these Creature Commandos, for the monsters. It was a driving force for them. And that part up to where the bride actually kills the princess, when that happens, that is her coming into her own at that point in time. If it wasn't for that moment, it was showcasing the bride. It was her development from the beginning of the show to that point. It was showing her development of becoming the leader of the Creature Commandos there and understanding who she's becoming. So that was an important aspect of her, because I really believe I looked at this show come the end really as her story. It was the story of the bride more than anything. She was the main character. Everybody else kind of fell as the supporting roles at that point in time. And it kind of felt like Rick Flag was going to be the main character at first. And he kind of felt like that for the first couple episodes. But come the end of the season, it was like, no, the bride was pretty much the main character the whole way through. And you really see that come the end when she does kill the princess. But it was a fantastic show. And I will agree that the main plot line kind of fell flat. I kind of feel like they needed one more episode maybe and re-implement Circe in some form, showcasing how she manipulated everything and trying to trick everybody. But they didn't do that. And that's okay. I mean, I don't know if they could only do 7 episodes, if there was a reason why they couldn't do 8. I don't know. Hope for Life. I like Callus will, I hope Callus will bring her back in season 2, since he has healing abilities. If I remember correctly, he brought Nina back to life in the comics. I don't know. I do know in the comics they were part of the same team at one point. So is it Callus or Khalees? I think it's Khalees, not Callus. I don't know. Maybe it's Callus. I don't know. I'm not good with names. You guys know that. But anyways, I know that they were part of the same team at one point, so it's possible he could. And I would say you know this as well as I do. In the comic book world, no one's ever really dead for good. So if and look, we saw GI Robot come back. I would just say this: we saw GI Robot die, and then we saw Nina die. It would be a little disappointing to see both of them come back already, but I know that she became a fan favorite, so I wouldn't be too mad if she came back. Trayvon says something tells me more will be revealed about the story in Creature Commandos. Like there's more to each character, like the princess. Well, I mean, the season 1's over, so maybe they'll do more in season 2. But I think season 2 is going to just take it in a completely different direction. Who knows when we'll get season 2 though? Hope for Life. I'm still wondering if they actually saved the world by killing the princess, and why did she want to take over the world, and how could she do it? Well, maybe that's part of season 2, or maybe because they killed her, we just never re-explore that because she's dead and that little branch of the timeline is just eradicated now. Who knows? I don't know. Critic Chris just been timed out for over a question to Snyder fans. Where at, on Facebook or something? Like where'd you get timed out at? Man of his time. People complain that Gunn isn't like Nolan, but he doesn't have to be. Gunn shines when he makes comic book movies. I always hate when people try to compare filmmakers. Like, for instance, take a look at someone like Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is a phenomenal filmmaker. Take a look at someone like Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is a phenomenal filmmaker. Okay. Now take a look at a movie like Tenet. Would you want Steven Spielberg to make a movie like Tenet? I wouldn't. That's not a movie that Steven Spielberg can make. It's really not. Now, would you want Christopher Nolan to make a movie like E.T.? No, because it's not the type of movie that Christopher Nolan can make. However, both of those filmmakers are phenomenal and great filmmakers in their own right. So you do the same thing with James Gunn. You look at James Gunn the same way. When you look at James Gunn, in his own right, he is a great filmmaker. My opinion on James Gunn is he is a better writer than he is director. And what I mean by that is, yes, he does very good in directing. He's really good at casting. He's really good at directing, groups of actors and stuff. But his writing is so much better than his directing. And I'm not saying he's a bad director, by no means. I love his Guardians 1. I love Guardians 3. I liked Suicide Squad quite a bit. But what I'm saying is his writing is top notch. I think he is one of the best film writers that is out there today. But I take a look at that and I say, okay, you take a look at Nolan and James Gunn. You're not going to want James Gunn to do Tenet, but you're not going to want Christopher Nolan to do Guardians of the Galaxy. And that's the thing. Like when you sit there and try to compare film directors, you can't sit there and say, well, Nolan's obviously better than James Gunn. Well, Nolan's good at making Nolan movies. James Gunn is good at making James Gunn movies. It's that simple. Like people need to back off of that kind of stuff. I did the same argument with people back during the whole Snyder cut stuff and the Snyder stuff when people would complain about Zack Snyder. People would sit there and say Zack Snyder's not a good director. No, Zack Snyder is a good director when he is making a Zack Snyder film. However, he needs to be reined in a bit. And I would always say what his issues are. And when he's reined in, when he doesn't have free roam, it's seen by Rebel Moon. If you compare Rebel Moon to something like Man of Steel is a phenomenal movie, in my opinion, because he's reined in. He didn't have full control over that movie. He was reined in. He didn't write that movie. He didn't have these crazy ideas. He was reined in properly for that film, and he is a great director in that regard. But people just want to run with these crazy things and these crazy ideas, and it just gets out of hand. It really does. Andre Oliveria, what do you think will be the most impactful aspect of Creature Commandos for the future of overall DCU? Well, it is supposed to. Didn't James Gunn say that there would be some impact leading up to Superman? So I don't know. I really don't know. I was, even after watching that episode, I was sitting there thinking, like, how is that going to impact maybe the fact that they killed the princess despite not having proof of that, and maybe there's going to be some kind of rule or laws like, hey, there's metahumans or there's monsters just killing, political figures or royal figures in other countries. That's got to stop. Maybe something like that. Maybe it's going to lead to the civil war that we see in the footage in the background of Superman. Maybe I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what could happen from that. I'm going to jump down through the comments here because there's a lot. Superhero cuts. What's going on, superhero cuts? No one is ever really dead. Very true. Very, very true. Man, it was time. I feel like this series has left a lot of unanswered questions, and that's fine, especially when you get a season 2. When a season 2 is greenlit, it can have some unanswered questions. Man, it was time also says, or asks, what do you think about the gun? About the gun doesn't know how to write female characters. Oh, get out of here with that crap. Come on now, think about this. Gamora, fantastic female character. Nebula, fantastic female character in the Guardians films. Mantis, she was a lot of fun. All three of them, strong, impactful female characters. But you're just a male, Robert. You're a man saying that it's impactful. What do women think? I don't care what women think in this regard because I'm looking at it from a male perspective. Go ask a female their perspective then. That's what I'll say. Like, ask a female perspective. From my perspective, I think that he's done a fantastic job with writing strong females. Look at The Bride. Look at Nina. Look at Amanda Waller. Look at what he did on Peacemaker with Waller's daughter. I can't remember the names of these characters. Anyways, you know what I'm saying. He does a great job. And if you ask me, he actually focuses quite a bit on making sure he writes strong female characters. I don't know why. Again, this type of stuff that people do is they try to twist everything to make him or make somebody look bad. And they do this because they don't have anything else. Creature Commandos is a success. Creature Commandos did well. Oh man, Creature Commandos is doing well. So we got to find a reason to make James Gunn look bad because, well, the better it looks, the better that he's going to look and the DCU is going to succeed. And that's all it is. Literally, that's all it's coming down to. And it's pathetic. It really is pathetic. These people are pathetic and it's getting out of hand. And I don't know what's going to stop them besides either us all ignoring them or DC content coming out and just being massively successful and them just shutting up from it. All right. Matthew Moreau, what do you think of the Snyder fans? Well, Matthew, I myself am technically a Snyder fan. I am a fan of Zack Snyder's DC trilogy. I'm a fan of many other Snyder films. I also look at some of Snyder films and say, yeah, they're kind of crap. I will say that about anybody. Like James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I don't think is a very good movie. I don't like it. I look at directors, films, their filmography, and if I don't like it, I don't like it. If I like it, I like it. It's the fans, though, that make it tough. And being a big Snyder fan for quite some time, I mean, I was in the fight for the Snyder Cut, and I mean, my other podcast, Bridging the Geekdoms, I really pushed for the Snyder Cut on the build up to it, everything like that. And then afterwards, after it got announced, I was on the Restore the Snyderverse fandom hashtags. I held events. I raised money for AFSP. I held the Us United event twice, 2 years in a row. I held the Us United event myself. I put it together, ran it, got other YouTubers involved and everything like that. Held a 2-day long event the first year. It was crazy. It was a lot of fun. But I came to realize that it was no longer about artistic integrity. It was no longer about doing what was right and getting something for Zack Snyder. It quickly became about making Warner Brothers look bad, about spreading toxicity, about just being pricks. That's what it became for the fans. And when I realized that, I detached myself from that fandom. And I, for a while, under my Bridging to Geekdom's name, that podcast, I made it a mission to just call all those people out. And then when I created Slavs Free Talk, I started to do the same thing. And I still do it to this day, but I do it in a slightly different way. I do it in a way where I call out the misinformation, the lies, the bullshit that they do. I won't go out there. If they have an opinion, sure, it's their opinion. If they're wrong about their opinion, if I think they're wrong with their opinion, that's fine. They can have opinion. They're entitled to their opinion. But if they're going to spread misinformation or lies or spread toxicity, then that's when I'll go and call them out. And that's kind of what I do on my channel here. Some people think it's wrong for me to do that. I don't think so, because I take a look at new DC fans. I take a look at old DC fans who are getting sick of the infighting, or who don't know what to think or think about coming into the fandom. I don't want them to be led astray. I don't want them to think that James Gunn is this terrible director, or that the DCU is going to fail automatically because it's James Gunn. I don't want them to think that. I want them to come in with open eyes and understand that, hey, this can be a good time. This is the brightest future that DC has ever had when it comes to films, because it's true. That is the truth. That is fact. But when you have these Snyder fans sitting there yelling, screaming, and saying that, James Gunn is terrible, horrible, and all he ever does is make crappy movies, and everything looks terrible, the world is, the sky is falling. Well, then these new DC fans, or potential new DC fans, aren't going to watch it, and that's bullshit in my eyes. So that's how I feel. All right. Doing a lot of questions here. In a couple minutes, we'll move over. We'll jump to this Batman suits here in a couple minutes. Like Critic Chris here says, Slav isn't biased compared to others. I'm not a big fan of Snyder or Gunn's films because I like only a few of both. I just don't hate nor praise them in all they do, though. Trayvon says, remember this, Matthew. There's Snyder fans, and then there's Snyder cult. Slav is a fan just like the Film Junkie and Our Movie News. Tyrone Magnus, Aaron Fisher, and Real Shift is of the Snyder cult. Matthew Moreau, but they're okay. I'm okay with them, Trayvon. Okay. You guys can talk amongst yourself. Andre says, I agree with the Commandos. Killing a foreign ruler supports the idea that the overall theme of this phase is all about the consequences of metahumans acting in diplomatic issues. Yeah, I think that might be the driving force behind this whole idea of what's going to have the consequences, and what's going to, I think it's going to lead into Superman and forward. So we'll see how that all goes. All right. Okay. Well, so you guys are talking amongst yourselves a little bit here. So I'm going to jump over to the Batman suits. So much like the Superman suits, I may not have them all on here. I pulled this up on Tier Maker. I added a couple on here that I didn't see. If I don't have them all on here, I apologize. I tried to get them all on here. The goal is to have at least one in every tier. S, A, B, C, D, E, F. S being the best, F being the worst. I will have to have at least one suit in all of them, and no more than 2 in the S tier. Those are my rules for this. You can all yell at me. You can all agree with me. I don't care. This is all for fun, though. This is all for funsies, for sure. Now, I'm not going to do this in any particular order. I'm just going to pick, you see at the bottom here, I'm just going to pick randomly at the bottom and go from there. You can also yell at me if I say the wrong movie or the wrong actor. That's fine too, or wrong project. That's okay, because I'm not perfect. But I'm just saying this is for fun. Okay, this is all for fun. So let's have some fun here. And maybe you guys can convince me to move one. If I put one somewhere and you're like, come on, man, that's way better. Or that's way worse. Or that's terrible. That's a terrible suit. You can convince me, maybe. Maybe I can move them. I was looking and I remember there being like 15 suits in Batman Forever. And I think there were like 3 or 4 suits in Batman and Robin. But I only got 2 suits from Batman Forever and I think one suit from Batman and Robin that I could see. I couldn't find the other ones. So again, like I said, I'm pretty sure I missed some, but we're gonna get into it here. I do see you guys still talking about who these people are, who are the Snyder cultists, the Snyder fans, that kind of stuff. Matthew Moreau here, I see you're saying some people you're okay with. Here's the thing. I'll never say don't listen to these people, don't listen to those people. You can watch whomever you want to watch or listen to. If you're a fan of Aaron Fisher, if you're a fan of Real Shift, you're a fan of whomever, go for it. Listen to them. The beauty about that is you can watch them, you can listen to them. Having different points of view is always okay. It never hurts to have that different point of view. Aaron Fisher and I have talked. He and I have gone back and forth on different things. We go back and forth on Twitter or X, whatever it's called, quite a bit. Real Shift and I went back and forth on X last week, and he basically has just said he's not going to ever talk to me again because he doesn't agree with me. It is what it is. But here's the thing. You go back and forth with these, listening to them, listening to me, watching them, watching me, whatever it is, you're going to get different points of view. You're going to get different angles. And that's the beauty of having, the ability to have something like YouTube to hear different opinions and different voices. That's all it is. Some people don't like them. So these other people, some people do. It is what it is. The only thing I ask, and I know everybody on here asks, just kind of stay as, cool as you can in the comments. Don't come in here and threaten people, because we've had people come in here, get upset because they're diehard Snyder fans. We've had people in here even that are diehard gun fans, and sometimes when you push back one way or push back the other, it gets people a little riled up. I just want people in here in the comments watching these videos that are just excited about DC. That's all I want. Just people to be excited about DC, and let's just move forward. That's all I'm saying, Matthew. All right, cool. Now let's move forward with this. All right. So first thing, I'll start with one of I don't know who these actors are because they're really old black and whites. And here's the thing. The nice thing about these old black and white ones is they were staying true to the comics. I mean, they really were true to the comics of the time for the most part. But they're not great. They're not great. But A for effort, right? A for effort. I'm going to put them both at C just because I give them a lot of credit for what they were able to do back in like the 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever time frame that was when they did these ones here. And honest to God, I hope you guys can tell me who these people were, because I can't remember. I don't remember. I'm sorry. I'm ashamed of myself, and you can all be ashamed of me with me, because I don't remember who they were. So I apologize. That's okay. But we'll go from there. I just wanted to start and get those two out of the way immediately. All right. So the next one, I'm going to just go with Pattinson, because he's the talk of the town lately. He is the talk of the town. Pattinson, his suit was, my interest was piqued when they announced his suit, or not announced it, but revealed his suit, I should say. And I thought it was cool at first, with the metal, I guess it was like from the gun for the bat logo, the hilt of the gun, all that kind of stuff. It was like, all right, this is kind of cool. But then I saw the mask and the cowl just looked hideous. And then the more I looked at it and the more I watched it, I really just did not like this suit. I don't know, guys. It's not the worst Batman suit, but it's not the best either. And I got to put it at a D. I just don't. Who was I listening to or watching? Maybe it was something on TikTok. I don't know where it was, But somebody said something the other day that I was watching, and somebody made a really funny comment about Pattinson. They said that, if while they were making the Batman, or not the Batman, the Penguin series, and they wanted to add Batman into it, they could have recasted Batman and it not have been Robert Pattinson, and not a single person would have cared, because that's how insignificant Robert Pattinson was as Batman. And the suit didn't really help. And my opinion is it's because the suit didn't really help at all. Like, the suit didn't really signify Pattinson, did nothing special for Pattinson. Pattinson didn't do anything special as Batman. Like, there was nothing special about this Batman suit, about Pattinson as Batman. There's nothing special about him. And again, the suit just looks horrendous. Like, it's one of my issues is, for some reason, people are trying to make this suit so realistic. Like, how can we make this realistic and work in real life? Oh, if there was somebody, they would make it like a motocross suit or something like that. Yeah, that's what they would do. Maybe make it like hockey pads. Yeah, we'll do something like that. But it's got to be more like armor. So like hockey pads or like motocross, but more armor like. And it just looks terrible. It looks horrendous. And that's pretty much what the Batman Pattinson suit is. It's terrible. It's just bad. But again, it's not the worst. It isn't the worst, because there are worse suits for sure. Jay Burns, thank you for the help here. The Hands on the Hips Batman was Lewis Wilson in 1943. Thank you, Google. Yes, thank you for that. That's the black and white one. All right, next one I'll pick here is the Zack Snyder Justice League tactical suit, Ben Affleck Batman. Now, the Ben Affleck Batman suit, I thought this tactical suit could have been better. I thought the cowl looked kind of wonky. I thought it was kind of like with the goggles. It didn't work for me. Ben Affleck's build, I think, is like the perfect build for Batman. I'm gonna say it, like, he has like the perfect build for Batman, but this suit just wasn't the best of the Ben Affleck suits. We did get, I think, 4 total suits from him, maybe 3, maybe 4, something like that. But this wasn't the best, and I gotta say, while it was not the worst of all the suits, it's definitely not the best. It's probably the worst of the Ben Affleck suits. So I'll probably go with D on the. No, I'll go C, because it's not as bad as the Pattinson suit, but it's also not great. So I'll probably go with C on this. Definitely. What are you guys saying over here? Critic Chris says, I thought Pattinson could have played Terry in Batman Beyond in live action. Hopefully we get those, or hope we get those. Trayvon says, looking back, Riddler and Penguin were the more memorable characters of the Batman. Very true. Trayvon said Lewis and Robert first. Sorry, I didn't say that, Trayvon. Sorry, I didn't see it. Trayvon says, I'm not wearing hockey pads. Even Christian Bale, Christopher Nolan can tell you that. Hope for Life says, hope you didn't leave out Adam West. He was the first Batman on TV show and the first to have his own film. I did not leave him. He's right there. Matthew says, hey, I didn't like himself too. So okay, I don't know what you're talking about. Jay Burns says, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. Talking about Adam West Batman. That's from the movie. Speaking of Adam West Batman, we're going to go with him now then. Adam West Batman. Look, I have fond memories of Adam West Batman. He was the Batman I grew up watching reruns of, sitting on my father's lap, eating cookies and dipping them in milk. I just have fond memories of Adam West Batman. I really do. I remember watching the movie, that specific line, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. I remember that line. I remember the shark repellent. I remember so many different things about this Batman. He's one of those characters, Adam West was one of those portrayals that has always stuck with me. And look, his suit was made in the 60s. You know, it was spandex, it was the underpants or the shorts on the outside were very high up. The belt was very thick. The cape was a little too short. The cowl was very odd looking, but it portrayed Batman and it fit the aesthetic of the time and it worked. But does it hold up? Is it one of the best suits? No, no, it's not. It really isn't. I mean, the one thing I will give it is it really stuck the landing with the emblem on the chest, with the yellow um, oval and the Batman on the center. That really stuck for many, many years, and people still love that to this day, and people want that more and more to this day, and you know that really stuck with people. But, you know, when I sit here and think about it and look at it, it's like, you know, from nostalgia, like I sit here, I'm like, man, I really love it. And I could put it up at A or B just because of my memories I have from watching this on reruns when I was 3, 4, 5 years old. But when I'm a realist and when I really, really think about it, you know, I got to sit here and say, look, it's not a great suit. It doesn't look great. It doesn't look very appealing. And you know, if we're being real here, you look at that and you're gonna be like, that doesn't look like a crime fighter at all. I mean, it looks like a Halloween costume more than anything else. The suits from the black and white look even more menacing and more scary and more like a crime fighter than this one does. But then again, this was made to be more of like a comedy more than anything else when the TV show was made. So you got that going for it too. But I'm probably gonna have to put it alongside Pattinson. Just if I'm going to be real here. While my nostalgia and my love for my memories would put it higher, being a realist here, being realistic here, um, I would probably have to put it below mid, but you know, just a little below it, not much further. Let's see. Critic Chris says, got the box set slab of 60s Batman. I watched reruns when I think second Keaton film came out. Was watching that and Primary Batman, the animated series. Awesome, man. Awesome. Critic Chris says, Adam West is so far the only live action Batman that wore trunks. Well, I mean, besides the two black and white ones. All right. Let's see. Next one. We will go with 1989's Batman. This one is a phenomenal suit, but you know there is a difference because if you see here, I do have 92's Batman Returns as well as 1989's Batman, and there was a difference between the two. The big difference was I mean, there was more differences than this, but the big difference was the bat logo on the chest and the tail. The tail had more spikes on the bat in 1989's suit than the 1992 Batman Returns suit. That's one of the big differences. Also, the abs were different on the suits, as well as some other differences. But looking at the 1989 Batman, which is the first film that I remember going to see as a child in the movie theaters, this movie really set everything apart for Batman. This movie people thought was going to be a joke. They hired Mr. Mom to play Batman. Come on now, Mr. Mom. This is just going to be another Adam West type of movie. People thought this is going to be horrendous. This is going to be terrible. But it ended up being a fantastic movie. But we're not looking at this from the movie standpoint. We're looking at it from the standpoint of the suit. How did the suit hold up? Was the suit any good? And I have to say, when you take a look at the 80s and you look at what they were doing with Batman in the 80s, the more dark, the more gritty look of Batman, yeah, this suit held up. The weakest part of this suit was the rubberiness to it. It was very rubbery with the leather cape. Couldn't move his neck, but it was still a really, really good suit. And I give them a lot of credit for doing it. And I love this suit so much. I got to put it at A tier. I have to put it at A tier. It is that good of a suit. Got it. I mean, come on. And Trayvon, I love you guys putting up quotes from the movies here. His lights out. Now you want to get nuts? Come on. Let's get nuts. Yes. Ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? You guys are great. All right. Next one, we're going to go with. What is that? Oh, this one's kind of ridiculous. This one, I don't know if you guys ever watched the show Gotham on Fox. It's hard to see this picture here, but at the very end, like one of the last shots of the show was Bruce Wayne. The character Bruce, the young boy who played Bruce Wayne, got to put on a suit that was Batman. And he was standing up on a roof. This suit is terrible. It is really, 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 really bad. It's F tier. It is so bad. Like if you ever get to see like in the show, it's a pretty quick shot, so it doesn't look terrible in the show. But if you just pause it for a second and you just watch that show, or not watch it, you just look at that suit, you can just look and see how bad that suit actually is. It is really, really bad. Really bad. Really, really bad. Critic Chris says, I wish I could have seen 89 Batman originally opened. I see its re-release, but they changed the sounds of guns, etc., which I hated. Look, when it came out in theaters, I was 3 years old. I think I saw it when I was 4 in the theater, though, because my birthday's in January. And I think that they push it. So, little background on me. Little background on me. My father was a huge Batman fan. I think I've talked about this. Like, diehard Batman fan. And my dad passed away in 1990. And he never got to see Batman in the theater. Now, back then, movies stayed in theaters a long time. And my dad passed away January 1990. Now, the movie, when it came out, and my dad didn't get a chance to see it. But my mom took me to the movies, and her and I went and saw it in the theater. And I know for a fact because I remember seeing it in the theater, and my mom remembers taking me to see it in the theater. And I remember falling asleep on her lap watching it in the theater. So I don't know if it was like they had it in theater, it came out of the theater, and then they re-released it, or what they did. But I won't say it was in 1989, but it was the first movie that I went and saw in theater. And it's one of those things that like it sucks because my dad was such a big Batman fan that he never got to see it in the theaters, or never got to see it at all. So it's like one of those things that just kind of, always sat with me. But, I was 4 years old when I got to see it. So it's one of those things. Who for life? Slav, do you think you could fit into? No, I could not fit into the Adams West Batman suit. maybe when I lose a little more weight, maybe. Trayvon says, which day in January? I guess you're talking about my birthday. It is actually this Sunday is my birthday. Critic Chris says, my parents were strict, even seeing PG-13. I was lucky to see Batman Returns with my brother. Ooh. Critic Chris says, sorry about your father, Slav. Yeah, I get it. It's okay, man. That was, what is it now, 35 years ago? So it's been a long time, but thank you. Yes, thank you. All right, on to other things. The Batman Begins suit. Batman Begins came out, 2005. And really weird thing about Batman Begins is I didn't actually see this movie in theaters. And I'm ashamed of that. I am very ashamed of that. This movie came out. I was working at Hollywood Video at the time, and I heard that the movie was coming out, and I wanted to see it, but life just got the better of me. And when it came out on video, on DVD, it came out, and I was working at the video store, and I was like, I got to watch it. I can't believe I missed it in theaters. And I watched it. So excited. Loved the movie. I was like, man, this is the greatest Batman movie ever. Basically, because it was at the time. Actually, it still is I think it's probably the best Batman movie still right now. Anyway, So watched it, and I absolutely loved the Batman suit. I thought the Batman suit in this movie was phenomenal, but it had similar issues that you have with the old Keaton suit or the suits from the 90s. You know, it's very rubbery like. It's very like, you know, you would think that after 10, 15, 20 years, like they would have been able to figure how to get rid of that issue. It's a great suit. It looks phenomenal. It's great looking. Like it's perfect. The cape is phenomenal, but it's one of those things. Like, come on, like you couldn't have figured some of this stuff out. Like, come on now, come on. But it's still up there with one of my favorites, and I have to put it at A tier because I do love it that much. I do. Uh, Trayvon says, "Sorry to hear about your dad, Slav. Almost got emotional thinking of my late maternal granddad who introduced me to Fleischer Superman cartoons." Yeah, I mean it's crazy. My dad, I mean, I, even though my dad died when I was so young, there's so many memories I have with him. One of my favorite memories is going into town, Pittsburgh, because we lived right outside Pittsburgh, and going to a comic book store with him. And again, he died. I turned 4 January 12th, 1990. He died 12 days later. So you have to think like I was like 3 years old, 2 years old, 3 years old, and I have these memories with him. And it's crazy that my mind like held on to these memories. It's absolutely nuts. But yeah, like I said, sitting on his lap, eating cookies, watching Batman reruns, stuff like that. Like I have these memories of with him. It's nuts that what your brain will do with things like that. Jay Burns says, I lost my dad right when I was 39. He was a resident Alien fan and passed before the finale. I finally watched it the past year. He's been gone almost 4 years now. Felt like he was watching with me. That was a good show. It's rough, guys. I know. Sorry for your loss. Jay. Critic Chris says, Loved Begins costume aside from Keaton's Batsuit. Critic Chris says, Batman Begins is my favorite out of the trilogy. Trayvon says, who remembers Hollywood Video? That's a name I haven't heard in ages. That's my look. I worked there. I ran my own store and everything after a while. 2, Batman Begins is a 20-year-old movie. Don't remind me. Hope for life. I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you either. Johnny Dome says, bad thing on Batman Begins, it was the beginning of the Snyderverse stuff because it led them to do that style. Yeah. Oh, man. All right, we got to get moving here. Let's see. I think this one here. What is that one? I can't see what this one is. I know the style. I think this is the second Val Kilmer one in Batman Forever, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Anyways, regardless, it's hard to see. This one here, I'm going to put to the side until I get to that one. I'm going to go with this one here because this one is just horrendous. This one is such a bad suit. Like, it is not as bad as the Gotham one. I'm going to put it at E here, just here. Like, the design, it was all to sell toys. When you take a look at this suit and this suit here, which is going to go right next to it, these suits with Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, it was all about selling toys. You know, the crazy thing is you have this Val Kilmer suit right here that is very similar to that of the Batman Returns suit, which is right here, which I love the Batman Returns suit. I actually put that up next to A tier because I think it is a great suit. And this one, which is the Val Kilmer suit, I put it B tier because I think it's a good suit. It's not quite as good as the Batman Returns suit, but that first Val Kilmer suit, at like the beginning of Batman and Batman Forever, it is a good suit. But again, it accentuates the rubber. It's very shiny, and again, they're trying to sell toys, but it just got the suit right, with the exception of all the shininess to it. Like it's very shiny and stuff like that. It's just a shame. I just don't get it. Oh, you guys say I forgot Keaton Flash 2023. Well, no, that's that suit right there. It's basically the same as the return suit, I believe. Um, oh, the Batmobile. I should do a Batmobile one. The Forever Batmobile is your favorite, Johnny Dome? Same. I won't say it's my favorite. I actually really, really like the what Snyder did with the Batmobile. But Forever, I do love the Batmobile and Batman Forever. I agree. But anyways, yeah, so those suits right there are all great. I love them. I do love them. Um, I think are you talking about this E1? Yeah, that one there. I don't think it's a Kilmer suit. I don't. No, yeah, E1. That's the Kilmer suit at the end of Batman Forever. That one there. Yeah, E1. This one here is the Kilmer suit. I'm trying to remember what this one. I think this might be the first Clooney suit, maybe. Oops. I think this one is the first Clooney suit from the beginning of Batman and Robin, which is not a good suit either. I just I don't know what their obsession was. Again, they were just trying to sell toys. Is really what they were doing. It's all they were trying to do is just sell toys. So make it shiny, make it look like it looks cool, and make it try to sell toys. I don't know. It just wasn't good for me. Just not good. It wasn't good. I didn't like it, man. I didn't like it. All right. Said, Critic Chris says, Batman Returns is my favorite, not muscle like nor over tactical like the Dark Knights. Yeah. Johnny Dome says, Batman Begins, Batman Returns, Batman Forever. I see the pattern. Waiting for Batman Never or Batman Gone. Ron 6751 Slaz Free Talk. My favorite Batmobile is the one from the New Adventures, and I think it's the perfect one for Brave and the Bold. I can't think of the New Adventure one. Yeah, let me see real quick. Batman New Adventure Batmobile. Oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah, okay, I've seen that one. Yeah, that's like a play on it. That one is very much a play on the animated series one, just a lot shorter. Critic Chris, I didn't get why Kilmer's second costume didn't include nipples too. Actually, that's a lot of people think that the nipples started with Kilmer. It doesn't, or no, it does. Does it? I can't remember if it does. I think does Kilmer have 3 suits in that movie? He may have 3 suits in that movie. I don't remember. I got to rewatch those now. Trayvon says BVS Batmobile is my favorite. Tumblers. I've never liked the Tumbler as the Batmobile. Even though I love Batman Begins, I never liked the Tumbler. Slash Retalk. It's season 3 of the animated series. Is that what it's called? Is that what it is? See, when I watched the animated series, they never, like, when I was a kid, it was just always the animated series, I thought. So they changed the name to, I never realized that. I guess you learn something new every day. Look at that. Look at that. All right. We're not talking about Batmobiles here, guys. Let's keep going. Jay Burns says nips and butt shot for Kilmer, if I remember correctly. See, now, but looking at the suits, I don't see any nips on them. Maybe there was nips on the first one and then not on the second one. Maybe that's what it is. Regardless, bat nips. All right. We're going to do the Nightmare suit from BVS. And the Nightmare suit was cool. It was nice, but it's basically the BVS suit just with a trench coat and goggles on the top of his head. And it's cool and all, and I like it, but it's not overly like, wow, this is amazing. This is so much different. This is great. I mean, it's cool. I'm going to put it B tier. You know, I mean, it's cool and all. It's not really great. So now we're down to the final 2. And where do you guys think I'm going to go with here? S tier? B tier? What do you think? What do you think? I'll go with what was my rules? I can have up to 2 in S. Did I say I had to have 2 in S? Now I can't even remember what my rules were. I think I can have up to two because the BVS suit I think is the best suit. I do. I think the gray, the black, I think that is the best looking suit. I like the shorter ears. I like everything about that suit. I like how it's not rubbery. I like that suit the best. I think that is the best suit that we've gotten yet. When it comes to the Dark Knight, I'm not a fan of the Dark Knight suit. I'm not. I put it on D tier alongside Pattinson. It is not a good suit. It is one of those suits that I question why they thought it was a good idea. You go from Batman Begins, which is such a fantastic suit. Not only that, but you had Christian Bale who bulked up and looked menacing and great. And then you go down to go to this, which is Christian Bale skinnier than he was for like American Psycho, almost as skinny as he was for what was that movie called, The Machinist or whatever it was, where he was like a crazily skinny, and he's in a motocross suit. I mean, that's exactly what this is. It's terrible, and you're back to, it's not as rubbery looking as everything else, but it doesn't look good. I don't know. It was disappointing to me. Oh, I have to turn my neck. Well, find another way to turn your neck, damn it. This was just not good. This was not good. And I don't know. It was just annoying for me. It was just so annoying for me. And I know, Trayvon, you think this is S tier. You think it's S tier. Oh, you can move his neck freely. You can find other ways to move your damn neck without making it a damn motocross suit. That's all. That's all I have to say. Derby Entertainment made it. Slav, our glorious king. How's it going? Oh, man. I tell you. Jay Burns says, I saw Forever in theaters and thought, was that necessary? I was a kid when I saw Forever in theaters, and I thought, hell yeah, this is awesome. Look at all those bright, shiny neon lights. That's all I cared about. Because I was a kid. That's all I cared about. Critic Chris says, I'm not a fan of the Dark Knight suit. Pattinson's, Clooney's, and Affleck's I didn't care for. Yeah, I know some people don't like Affleck's, but I do. I just, and it's not anything to do with necessarily Affleck, even though I think Affleck is like the perfect build. I just love the aesthetic of the suit because it's not rubbery. And it's just the gray with the black, all of that just, I think, works perfectly for the suit. I do. I think it works perfectly. I don't know. What do you all think, though? That's what I want to know. What do you all think? Let me know in the comments for sure. I know we didn't talk about the Pattinson stuff with Batman. I did make a video about that yesterday. You can watch that. I know kind of some new information dropped today. I guess that Andy Muschietti supposedly hasn't talked to supposedly hasn't talked to James Gunn since before Superman started filming. Look, guys, I'm holding true. Pattinson is not going to be the DCU Batman. But regardless, if he does end up being the DCU Batman, oh well, cool. We deal with it. We move on. If he does, or if he doesn't, then we get a new Batman. Regardless, I don't know why so many people are fighting about it. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, let's just enjoy what we're getting. Like, people are trying to make this like this is the end of the world if we like this information. Like, it's not. Like, let's just enjoy what we're getting and move on. That's all I have to say. I don't know. But yeah. All right. What do we got? Last few comments before we close up. Ron 6751. Actually, regarding the nipples, Batman Forever suits had minor nipple detail, while Batman and Robin were well detailed. So weird talking about nipple details on Batman suits in the podcast. That's all I have to say. It's kind of weird. Oh man. Chris, well, I'd probably like Affleck better if he wasn't Hulk built looking. I know he's that way because of Moore's comic. Yeah. And he did slim down a little bit. That's the one I forgot. I think you guys, no, you mentioned Affleck's Batman suit in the Flash. That's when I forgot. Yeah, I would probably put that at D, maybe E, because it wasn't good. Wasn't great. Wasn't great. Yeah. All right, guys. We will be back on Monday for my regular show, my main show, and then we'll be back next Thursday. But what I want you guys to do either in the comments here, maybe I'll put up a post on the community. We got to figure out what we're going to talk about next week. Commandos over now. We got we got 6 months now until Superman comes out, so we got to come up with some content here, and we got to start talking about or figuring out what we're going to talk about. That's for sure. So definitely let me know what you want to talk about in the comments, and we're definitely going to have to come up with some ideas. Supergirl starts filming on Monday, so hopefully we start to see some first looks at Supergirl, at Lobo, at Prime of the Hills, and Ruth, and stuff like that, behind the scenes images. Lanterns is due to start filming here within the next couple weeks as well. And hopefully we start seeing stuff from that. So that'll give us stuff to talk about. But you know me, I like to have specific topics to talk about as well. So let me know in the comments if you want to talk about, and we'll go from there. Also, let me know what you guys think. You know, I got the new setup here with the screen, new border, got the new music for the intro and the outro. Let me know what you guys think about that. With all that said, guys, I'm going to head out of here. Thank you all for stopping by. And with all that said, I will catch you all next week. Take it easy.